Appreciate you being with us today. If you have with us the first time, you realize that your mics are being muted. So please be aware of that. The chat line is available, the chat roll at the bottom of your screen. You can message Alyssa and Ashley and Jamie all on the Zoom call here. And then we have Marquier over on Facebook. So please send your messages there. When you're sending messages, I do need to ask you to not message travel with us directly, because that's going into an unmonitored screen and nobody's seeing that. So please don't do that. You can message Jamie directly or Alyssa directly or just general. It's best if you do just general so we can answer questions everybody can see, but please don't message travel with us directly. So we really appreciate you being with us here today. We're going to give everybody just a couple of seconds to catch up and get on board here. Speaking of on board, we're here on board. We're on board the Constellation of the Seas, the celebrity ship. We're somewhere out in the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know where, headed towards Cozumel. And we left Costa Rica yesterday, correct? I'm looking at Marcus and he's nodding his head. So we're somewhere out at sea and excited about that. We've had a great time, looking forward to that. So James is in the studio with us and he'll be coming on in just a few minutes with us. So James, glad you're back from the Holy Land.
I am glad to be back. I thought it'd be warmer here in Florida, but it's been pretty nippy the first few days back.
I haven't sent you any pictures because it's really nice here. The weather has been great. We've had smooth sailing. Things have gone really well. Blue skies and sunshine. So I've got Ann Emerson here with me in the ship, and we're going to be talking to her in just a little bit. So we're going to share about the Celebration Cruise. We look forward to talking with everybody about that. We're giving everybody just a second to get on board there. So don't forget, don't message travel with us directly. Put it in the general chat so everybody can see, or message it straight to Alyssa or Jamie one so they can help you with that. We'll get the questions to James there in the studio if we need to do that. We appreciate that. So as I mentioned, we have Ann Emerson. Ann is our Director of Travel Ministry from Michigan. She's a deacon in the church.
Yep.
And we are excited about Ann being with us. So Ann, talk a little bit to us about your trip. Thanks for being here, first of all. We appreciate it. But how's the cruise been so far for you?
There was a lot going on in my life before I got on board, and this time has been exactly what I've needed. A time just to decompress. Haven't really done much of anything. Just lounge by the pool, read some good books, eat some great food, enjoy company. It's just what I've needed.
So tell me a little bit about your ministry. You have a camp ministry?
I'm a deacon with the Michigan Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church, and I'm director at Lake Huron Retreat Center. And like so many other places, we have been affected by COVID. We're short-staffed. We've had groups cancel. We've had groups coming in smaller numbers than normal. And so the last 18 months or so, a lot of the extra workload has been on my shoulders. And it's just been really stressful. And so lots of long hours, lots of long days. And as I said before, I just needed this time away.
So this is your first kind of trip though since COVID started?
Absolutely. Other than just visiting family locally or just going to New York, this has been the first real vacation, the first real journey since COVID hit.
Yeah, so what's been your favorite thing so far?
Well, I have to say yesterday I splurged and had a 75-minute salt stone massage. And that was heavenly. So I still feel really good from that. So that by far has been the favorite thing.
So you're going to have another 75-minute later in the cruise?
Only if you're paying for it.
I have to check.
Okay. No, that was by far the best thing. But also, walking the track every morning, I've been very disciplined about that. I've been enjoying the pool because I get in there early. There's nobody in the swimming pool. I've been in the hot tub almost every morning, nobody in the hot tub. So It's been nice just to unwind and use those relaxing kinds of things that I don't have at home.
No, good, good. Well, and you've done a couple of excursions.
Yep.
So what countries have you done excursions in?
We did the Panama Canal expansion, learned about the old locks, learned about the new locks, and then yesterday, in fact, your wife Kathy was with us, and Armand and my roommate Kay, and we did a tour of a chocolate farm, and they made chocolate for us, and we learned all kinds of things about different plants. They kept breaking plants, and here, smell this, and here, smell that. That was very interesting, and it was just nice to be off the ship for a little bit, see some of the local flavor in Costa Rica. It was a good excursion. We enjoyed it.
Good, good. So let's see. So far, we have visited Belize, Honduras, and Panama,
And Costa
and
Rica.
Costa Rica.
And then,
And we have Cozumel
Cozumel's
left tomorrow, Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then back to Tampa,
reality.
where James tells us that warm weather is not waiting for us.
It's better than what's probably waiting for me in Michigan. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I guess not.
There'll be snow, I'm guessing, so that's okay.
And you're right on Lake Huron,
Yes,
so you
Yes.
get the weather off that too.
we do.
Yeah.
Lots
so-
of lake effect.
yeah, so
That's okay.
you can do back-to-back cruises.
Well, I'd like to, but work calls me.
So, well, now the excursions, all the other stuff, food, tell me about that, because you've had this great table partners, I know.
Yes, I have. I've been having Tom and Kathy at my table, just so you know. The food on any cruise ship is never disappointing because we don't have to cook it. We don't have to clean up after ourselves. We don't have to do the dishes. But everything's been very nice. The ship staff, all the crew, they've been wonderful. Going through, eating upstairs, and they'll just help you with whatever you want. So we're very spoiled. Food's been great.
Great. So this is not your first cruise,
No,
but post-COVID or COVID cruise.
Yeah.
So how has that been for you?
I'll confess I was a little apprehensive, as probably most people are when they're taking their first trip in this world of post-COVID or in the middle of COVID. But Celebrity was really good, as was the EO office, about communication, what steps we had to take prior to getting on board. The whole Celebrity staff has been very good, keeping us informed about COVID things. I feel fine. I'm very assured that everything's being done to keep us safe and healthy and still not impacting the enjoyment of the trip.
Good, good. I mean, they've got their protocols, they're
Yep.
following very strictly.
And the passengers are adhering to the protocols. Whether we're sitting in a mealtime or the theater or walking around on deck, people are wearing masks, there's hand sanitizer, we're washing our hands, we're doing everything we can to keep everyone safe, and that's what's important. Whether you're on a cruise ship or whether you're at home, we're all in this together, and we all have to take care of each other.
Yeah, great. Yeah, because I've been very impressed with Celebrity.
Mhm.
They've adhered to the policies they told us they were
Yep.
following, and I've not seen anyone not deliberately breaking them.
Right. That's good.
I think there's been a few times people have walked out of their cabins and forgot their mask or something. I mean,
I've done it.
I'm
Turn right
guilty of
around,
that.
go back and get it. Yeah,
yeah, and I'd get about 3 steps and Kathy would say, Tom, where's your mask?
exactly.
Yeah, so,
Exactly.
yeah, good. So, well, you shot, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
you've traveled with Yo extensively. Traveling with us a long time. How has that impacted your ministry and the folks to whom you minister?
I can think back on so many trips. I think one thing is I have a deeper appreciation for my fellow humans. Whether I'm in the Holy Land with my Muslim brothers, experiencing the rich culture, or I'm on an Alaskan cruise, enjoying the beauty of creation, or I'm in Europe on a river cruise. We're all in this together, and sharing different, whether it's language or culture or food or protocols or whatever it is. The world, it's a big place, but by traveling, it seems a little closer. And we share those common things in humanity, caring for one another and loving one another and sharing what's important to us. And that's helped me, especially in my ministry at the retreat center, experiencing hospitality in other countries and experiencing hospitality in other cultures has helped me remember that it's my role at the retreat center and as a Christian and as a human being to share hospitality with other people. And just as celebrity is making sure that this cruise is a great experience, and just as the EO staff on whatever trip we're doing, our job is to make sure that our passengers are having a great experience, Holy Land cruises, land tours, or whatever. My work at the retreat center is to ensure that all the guests that come have a great experience. From the time they walk in the lodge to get at their room keys, when they come over for a meal, they go to our chapel until the time they leave. My job and the job of my staff is to make sure they have a good experience. And that's what EO has taught me.
Great, thank you. That's very, very kind. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Well, we're so glad that Ann's been able to be with us this trip. We've had a great trip together. We've got to share some experience and got to know each other better. We're going to show you in just a second a couple of other testimonials from some of our other passengers on board. I do want to tease just a couple of things. On March let me look at my date here, 3rd, we're going to have our first Jubilee reveal. So we're going to be sharing with everybody about our 50th celebration, Ann. Really, Ann's been hearing me tease about this on the ship.
I know, I've already got my trips picked out.
Yeah, so the people who are on FL here on the celebration cruise got to hear about it a little bit earlier. So we're excited about it. Also, we want to just talk a little bit about the 23rd or the HL 23. We'll be having a webinar next time about those. So, and the reason I sound so funny to you, I believe, is because in my ear, I'm about a second and a half both delayed. So I'm hearing me after I'm hearing me. So James, that's confusing. I'm the voice in my head.
Aren't there usually voices in your head?
There are lots of times voices in my head. But often you're one of them, or Kathy's one of them, but I'm not so often me. So Ryan, why don't you and Shelby and John show the testimonies that we have coming in there?
It's wonderful to greet you from the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. We're having a wonderful time on this celebration cruise. And as part of it, we've had the privilege, Marilyn and I have the privilege of leading the missions cruise. We have about 32 people who are with us. We're stopping at Panama and Costa Rica and Cozumel to see mission work, to see the home for children and adults, all the work of the missions. So we've been having a great time, and we only wish you were here.
Having a great time, weather's great, the ship is great, anything you could want, you could possibly have. It's been a really good experience, and we've had just a ball.
Hi, we're Bob and Bonnie Perry. We've been on board the Constellation now for 4 days and feel totally safe with everything that's been provided for us and asked of us. Having to wear masks indoors is not a problem. We love being outdoors though, because we don't have to wear the masks.
It's beautiful.
It's been a great trip so far with EO. This is our second cruise with EO during the pandemic. We also did a FAM tour in November, and here we are in January and enjoying ourselves.
The FAM trip that we took in November was to Greece, and here we are now in Central America, and we're very happy to be traveling right now.
I'm on the South Caribbean cruise with EO, and we are having a wonderful time. The weather has been very nice, and we have felt perfectly safe on board. We are all wearing masks and having a really good time. And you need to think about traveling and traveling with EO.
I'm Jimmy Kaysen, and I'm so excited to be with my wife Susan on the Celebration Cruise. And for me, the Celebration Cruise has a whole lot more to do than just being with people on this cruise, as wonderful as it is. You know, I'm a diehard Georgia Bulldog fan, and we're still celebrating that we won the national championship in college football, and we beat Alabama, and so we can say, go Dogs.
Well, we're enjoying it. These are probably, we've probably done 10 of the 13 celebrity, or not celebrity, but celebration cruises, and
we are
a lot of
having
good
a
memories.
great time.
Yeah.
It's been such a blessing for us to be able to travel again. We haven't traveled in a long, long time, and educational opportunities and this celebration cruise has made it very easy for us to do this, and we have felt safe. We're wearing masks. We're not wearing one right now, but we've been wearing masks every day. We're around people on the cruise ship, and we have felt very safe. The cruise line has been very diligent in making sure that everything is clean. The people are distancing from one another, but still having a great trip. It's been wonderful, really, and we're grateful for it.
We really are excited to be out and traveling again, just seeing the world, thanks to educational opportunities. But it really has been a safe trip. It's been very easy to go to any venue on the ship. And of course, we wear our mask, which we do at home. So it's not really anything different in our being safe and trying to be cautious about being around people. So it's been wonderful just to be back out again cruising, and the staff and all have made it so clean, so nice, that we have not been worried. We've just been respectful of keeping our distance and going and doing what we would usually do.
We've been traveling with educational opportunities for 45 years, and we have always felt that kind of care, and we feel it still today, and we're grateful to God for educational opportunities.
So thanks, everybody. We really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. James, we're excited to see you there in the studio, and your whole end trip was good, I take it?
Yeah, it was a good trip to the Holy Land. I see Steve Shepard online here, so saw Steve over in Jerusalem when I was there. So it was good experience. So I'll talk about that here in a little bit. We're going to talk about Oberammergau first this morning. So good morning, everyone, and pleased to be with you today. Hopefully, I am winding down on my COVID-19 commentaries after a couple of years of giving you these travel updates. The Omicron wave has been the latest challenge with its pervasiveness, as we've seen here in the United States. This wave has had a steep climb, but also a decline in cases. The Omicron wave is producing a silver lining with the virus becoming weaker and serious infections forming an even smaller percentage of cases. Countries are rapidly reevaluating their response to COVID-19 as increasing percentages of population have been vaccinated or exposed to the virus. It seems to me like a confidence in a herd immunity scenario is increasing amongst countries as the virus is moving to an endemic status. And I think increasingly we are hearing and seeing that term endemic being bandied about. It's certainly President Biden has used it recently. We're seeing that in Europe. We're seeing that also in Israel. So while we still see restrictions in some countries now, depending where they are in this Omicron wave, I believe the trend in the next few months will be to ease the policies that we see in place currently during the winter in the Northern Hemisphere. So all that said, I do believe countries will probably still maintain some vaccination requirements for some time. I hope that will change quickly, but I believe we have to be prepared for some vaccination requirements like has been the norm in sub-Saharan Africa. if you've been going on safari in the past few decades. As always, we'll continue to communicate those requirements in a timely manner to all of you who are traveling with us. So with those larger trends in the background, we're going in a positive direction, as I said. I do want to update everyone on the Oberammergau Passion Play, which is scheduled for this summer. The cast is currently practicing. They're going full steam ahead, getting ready. Seems like the last pictures I saw, the beards were all grown out nicely, and they have an eye to open on schedule on May 13th, which will be the opening night. So with all systems go from the village's perspective, we are planning and working accordingly, having our meetings here and getting everyone ready. We've been actually sending already early rooming list to Oberammergau, so they have an initial look at who's coming. So to start off this Oberammergau segment, last fall we were there back in September, and our frequent guest host, Drexel Gilbert Walkup, interviewed Frederick Mayet, who will portray Jesus. So let's take a look at that interview now.
Hey guys, I'm Drexel Gilbert, and I am here today with a very special person. This is Frederick Mayet, and Frederick portrays Jesus in the Passion Play in Oberammergau. And I'm so pleased to meet you and to visit this beautiful place and to hear about this enormous undertaking that has meant so much to so many people through the years. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here too.
Well, Frederick, first of all, let's just start at the beginning. How did the Passion Play come to be?
So it all started in the 30 Years' War in 1632. The Swedish troops came here to this region, and they brought the Black Plague with them. The chronicle says that within a few weeks, 1/3 of the population died, and no one knew what was happening. Everybody thought it's a punishment by God. And so the villagers made a vow. So if God takes this disease away from us, we will play the last days of Jesus Christ every 10 years. It is said that then nobody died anymore. And so in 1634, the first Passion Play was played. And so we have a tradition which is almost 400 years old.
Amazing.
Usually we start our rehearsals in the year before the Passion Play. With the main cast, we go together to Israel and to visit the Holy Land, and there we talk a lot about Jesus and what happened 2,000 years ago and what it means for us today, and so you're slowly growing into the role, and so we also have to let the hair grow and the beard. It's like growing into it. So if you're born in Oberammergau, or if you live here for at least 20 years, you have the right to take part. And then there's one big date where the cast is announced in front of the theater, and the whole village stands around, and my name was the first name on the board, and I was really, really happy and excited. And the Passion Play is only every 10 years, and so I never imagined playing Jesus because I had so much respect of it, because I never thought I can do it, because it's such a big role and it's so important. You're on stage with your friends, with your family, so the whole community comes together, and you have people in the same room. You're rehearsing. They're perhaps 10 years old. The older ones, they are 80, 90 years old, and the whole village comes together, and it's such a special thing doing this together, playing the last days of Jesus Christ together as a community. Playing Jesus is emotionally and physically very demanding. So especially in the last scene, the Way of the Cross, and when you're hanging on the cross for at least 20 minutes, it's a very long time on the cross, and it hurts a little bit. But of course, you just get a small idea how brutal it was dying on the cross for Jesus 2,000 years ago. I think it will be a different play next year, because it was such a special situation for everyone, and it was social distancing is something we learned now, and but theater and being here in the theater together, it's anti-social distancing. It's people coming together and doing something together. I think this is something people are really looking for again, that you can travel, that you come together, that that you do something. And I think this will change how we are on stage. And also some texts we have in the Passion Play, they are about suffering, about diseases, and we will have a different attitude on stage. I think when we start the rehearsals again, we will look different on the words Jesus said, and I think they have a different view on the story we are telling here.
Frederick, we've talked about the importance that this Passion Play has played to thousands and thousands of people around the world over the centuries, but it's also super important to Oberammergau as well. It's important for this play to take place next year.
The Passion Play started almost 400 years ago, and it's such a long tradition. And for us here in Oberammergau, you have to hand it over from generation to generation. Our forefathers, they made this vow, and so we will carry it on as long as it is possible. I don't want to be the generation that stops it.
And I know that there will be the necessary precautions taken depending on what's going on at that particular point in time. And so for the people who are wondering, will this play take place? Your answer seems to be a pretty emphatic
yes. Of course. So of course there's some things we have to prepare for next year, but now the regulations are really good, or looking good for next year, and I'm sure we can do it.
Well, I will be back here next year to be in this audience and watching the play, and I'm so looking forward to it. And Frederick Mayette, thank you for your commitment to this play, for the commitment to the role that you play, for talking with us today.
Thank you.
I'll take it back to you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Frederick. Just really a wonderful person. I got to know him over the last 5 years, and played Jesus back in 2010, and will reprise the role in 2022. He really puts his heart into that. So obviously the Oberammergau Passion Play only comes around theoretically every 10 years. It's going to be 12 by the time we get there this summer. I think just hearing Anne earlier saying this is her first time back out on travel, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of our travelers' first time back traveling internationally to Europe and things. And no better way I can think of than to share in the Passion of Christ as part of that experience. And just having been to Oberammergau so many times over my lifetime, it's truly a once in a lifetime event. So we hope you can take advantage of that in 2022. The next performance won't be until 2030, and hate for people to have to wait 8 years, and you never know what's going to happen in those intervening 8 years as well. So again, we're looking forward to doing that. And I've shared in the past, this is our 6th Passion Play that we're running at EO. It's really been a fabric. We talked about the Jubilee coming up of our 50th anniversary. So this is number 6. There was a special performance in '84 if you're trying to do that math. Definitely excited for that. The scenery and everything around and around Bavaria, and all of our programs start off in Innsbruck and work their way in different directions, if you will. Just some of the most beautiful scenery in the world. People often ask me where are my favorite places to go, and I can tell you I would go to that region anytime of the year. It is definitely top 3 for me to visit. And I think, Shelby, I think we have some photos we can show as we go along here. We definitely have some food pictures. Some of my favorite food is here, if she's showing some of those in the background. So you will certainly not go hungry on the experience, and wonderful fellowship and wonderful scenery and experience. What I want to do now, I think we're going through some of those, and some of those pictures are from our FAM group that was there in September. So we've been there during COVID. We understand the regulations and things, and those will continue to evolve over time. So we're not stressing out over exactly what the regulations are at this point, because those are inevitably going to change, as I mentioned, as we move from winter into spring into summer in that part of the world. I think we will see those loosen up as we did last summer. There were really very few regulations in Germany, Austria, and those countries. Then I think we will definitely see that again. So let me just quickly review some of our programs for Oberammergau now. We have a PowerPoint that we will show you at this time. The first slide there shows our 2 cruise programs. We have a couple cruises if you want to experience cruising, and Oberammergau we have those, and we have a river cruise option. I guess the good news and the bad news with the river cruises is almost all those are completely full. We have a few cabins on each, and I see some tour hosts here that are recruiting for the river cruises online. We still have a few cabins. Your tour host advisor can let you know what cabins are available on any of the given cruises. We keep that updated daily. Our tourist advisors have that information at their fingertips every day. The June 2 cruise is the one where we still have some space left, and I will be on that cruise, so I hope you can join me there if you're wanting to start recruiting late. We definitely have cabins on June 2, and then of course we have our cruise on the Constellation, which is at the end of July. That starts in Barcelona, finishes up in Venice, and then you'll make your way up to Oberammergau. Just a great cruise opportunity there. That's on the Constellation, which is the same ship that Tom and Ann are on currently. So heard a lot of good things earlier on this. Next, we have our, I'm just trying to see here on the screen, our Reformation and thank you. I was enjoying actually watching all of you on the screen. I could see everybody who was watching. That was fantastic. But the slide was like a little microscopic up there. Switzerland, we have several dates still available, which visits both Switzerland and Oberammergau. So most of those start off in Oberammergau, and you make your way through Switzerland. There's a couple dates there that go in the opposite direction. I went to Switzerland in September, reviewed several of those hotels. Wow, I mean, Switzerland's just a beautiful place, and if you're someone who can't get enough of the mountains, this tour is it. You will be in mountains the entire time. So it's just spectacular scenery and wonderful food and a very, very pristine environment all the way around. We also have our Reformation programs, tracing the footsteps of Martin Luther, along with the Oberammergau Passion Play. You can see the dates available there, and you'll work your way north from Oberammergau and then through all the Luther sites in Germany. And again, those are very, very interesting. I've always enjoyed my visits to that part of Germany. Let's see, next we have our 2 programs which stay in an Austrian village near to Oberammergau. And both the Alpine Wonders and the Alpine Odyssey, you stay put, so you're not packing and unpacking on those. You're there for 7 nights and have an opportunity to really immerse yourself in the Tyrolean part of Austria, which again is just a beautiful place. You can see the open dates there. We have fewer on the Odyssey. It's sold well, and a few dates still remaining in the Alpine Wonders. Really across the spectrum here, we have some dates in early June there, but we also have some in September. So you can, if you need a little more time to recruit, you can start on that September 26th date. Next, we have our Holy Land and Passion Play combination. And you see we have a few dates there. Most of them are late in the season, so still time. These programs combine a Holy Land and 5 nights in Austria and Bavaria, and 6 nights in the Holy Land. So you get the best of both worlds. And if people really want to experience both, and both of them have been on their bucket list, you can check a lot of things off here with the Holy Land and Oberammergau. Holy Land will work just like all of our other Holy Land experiences. We are dedicated to make that equally special, even with Oberammergau attached to it. Then we have the European capitals, and which starts in Oberammergau, moves up to the north, and visits Prague, Leipzig, Berlin, some of those iconic cities, Dresden as well. That is sold very, very well. We only have 3 dates, and the availability there's even limited on those 3 dates. So if you're interested in one of those, I really recommend you start recruiting there. We also have Italy, a couple dates on our Italy combination with Oberammergau. Again, you hit all the highlights in Italy, from Venice to Florence to Rome, as well as starting up in Bavaria and the Tyrolean region of Austria. Again, bucket list places, all those. And then finally, if you haven't really thought about it, the Oberammergau has what they call youth days, which are in early May, and they have youth from around the world come. And so it may be something that you're interested to do with your youth group. Let us know, contact us, and we can put something together for those youth days. It's the week before opening night, basically. So we've scheduled a departure on May 5, and all the youth will attend one of those final dress rehearsals ahead of opening night. So a great opportunity to really meet youth from around the world in Oberammergau. So if you're interested in, you've never really thought about that before, give us a call, and we can certainly talk to you about it. So a lot on tap here for Oberammergau this summer. We are certainly looking forward to that. And if any of those dates you want to recruit for, please call into your tourist advisor, and we can get you brochures and everything here and get you going. It's not too late. Typically, if we were talking about February ahead of the Oberammergau season, it's too late. But this year, everything's time sort of got suspended. So 3 weeks in advance seems like an eternity as we've restarted operations. So, a few months, you have plenty of time. Everyone's still flexible here in travel worldwide. Moving on to the Holy Land, I just returned there, as Tom said, on Thursday after a 10-day stay. It was truly exciting to see one night 4 groups actually in the olive tree in the dining room at the same time. It seemed like a dream. Really, really excited about that. We heard from Don and Claudia Erickson on our last webinar, and the touring and the experience have been going very, very well. I mentioned Steve Shepard's on here. He was one of those 4 groups leading his group there, and I know I checked in with Steve most evenings, and things were going well. I think our only hiccup while I was there, it was actually the night I was leaving the next day, was there was a big snowstorm in Jerusalem last week. So they've got 5-6 inches of snow, and in Jerusalem, snow. Most of you are like, big deal, 5-6 inches. It wasn't the blizzard in the Northeast this past week, but in Jerusalem, it's like Category 5 hurricane here in Florida about to hit you. Everyone just sort of panics. That was actually our biggest challenge, as it usually is. It's the things you don't expect to be a challenge or the challenge. So you don't expect snow to close roads in Jerusalem. So as a whole in Israel, Omicron has begun to recede. Case numbers are dropping daily now. Serious cases never reached the peaks seen in the Alpha or Delta waves, even though there's been 4 times the infection. Israel continues to relax requirements, and literally today they're debating removing the whole Green Pass system that they've had in place. My suspicion is they'll probably keep that 1 more week, but I think the requirements to enter and travel around Israel will probably look a whole lot different in March than even this month. So we will keep everyone updated as those change and maintain diligence on all safety measures. I was impressed by my observations of hotel and tourist staff. Everyone's masked. The cleanliness is even more than usual. We've had less cases of, I think as a whole, we've had less cases of illness of all varieties this winter. And remember, just for some perspective, when this Omicron wave started in Israel, they actually had a couple thousand people in the hospital with the flu. In Israel. we tend to just focus on COVID-19, but typically in a normal winter, our guests have all kinds of different illnesses just going around. But really, everyone was healthy during our stay. So in over 10 groups that have traveled so far to the Holy Land, we've yet to have a confirmed case contracted by our guests while traveling. We've had a couple of cases of our travelers arriving and testing positive, which now on Zoom calls, if I'm doing a Zoom call with a group that's going, I remind them to please be careful in the days between your PCR test, if you're doing that, and travel, as Omicron, just from our cases here in the office, what I've observed, seems to have a 2 to 3 day incubation period. So I would encourage you to wear a mask out in public in those 3 to 5 days before the trip. I think that's just playing it safe. We certainly want you all to go. A lot of people have been very, very patient to make this trip over, a couple of years now. So it's painful to see people not be able to go the day before. Actually, we had someone this morning that couldn't leave today. So we've seen many more positive tests before guests have departed the USA, as I mentioned, than we've had there. So we're able to postpone those travel plans, but it's disappointing that people have waited so long and then can't go. So just please be careful if your group's coming up here later in February or March and you're watching. Just better to take a few extra measures before you leave. The testing requirements in Israel have not changed in the last 2 weeks since I was here before. So that's a test before, a test when you land. Entry to and from the land borders between Jordan and Egypt remain open. We are continuing to have persons not have persons recross into Israel from Jordan extensions, because there's more additional testing to come back into Israel to do a quarantine. So we're still sticking with the modified itineraries that we've worked through here, and then we will see as some of those testing requirements are eased. We may adjust that as we go into the spring. One common question that we've had here that we continue to get here is, will there be a 4th shot needed? In essence, a second booster shot. The jury's really out. They have started that in Israel to those who are immunocompromised or of a certain age, but I just don't see that coming. I do see some of the cruise lines and the occasional country here do require a booster shot or an extra test if you don't have the booster shot. So I'm not saying don't get a booster shot, but I know a lot of people are concerned that, my 6 months on my first booster shot is going to expire and I'm going to need another booster shot. I don't see Israel requiring that as it stands now. They're going the way of making it easier to get in. I've even seen floated that they may eliminate that whole test before you go. That has been in the media this week. So a lot of things are being debated, but it's all to make travel into Israel and the Holy Land easier, not more onerous. So that's positive for sure. Finally, our regular hospitality teams are returning to Jerusalem and the Galilee this week. They're going armed with new tools to serve you better. So we're really excited about that. It's been a couple-year project during COVID to equip our hospitality teams even better. Optional tours like Sound and Light Show and Bethlehem dinners are restarting this month. So we have been sending out those groups traveling this month. We have been sending out those options to you, and I believe March is going out here the next day or two. So we did review all of our procedures while I was there with the folks in Bethlehem, and everyone is vaccinated in those households with boosters that would be hosting a dinner. So as the wave recedes, I'm really pleased that we can restart those. So that's the update from the Holy Land. And if we have questions on any of this, please use the chat roll. We've got some really, I know Alyssa and Ashley are standing by here to answer, and I can answer too. And any of those questions, because there's just a lot happening these days. So next, you can work on those questions. I wanted to share a testimonial from our EO and Espanol department. You may not know, but we have a whole department which serves our Spanish-speaking travelers. And that's been a growing department. So I still don't speak Spanish. I think I can understand a little bit better, but I still don't. But really a joy to try. I've had the opportunity to travel with some of those folks, and a lot of the Spanish-speaking travelers speak English too. So, and just a really fun group to travel with. So here in this segment, Amy Kroslak from our staff interviews Dr. Nino Gonzalez. He's just retired as senior pastor at El Calvario Church in Orlando, Florida. So let's listen.
Hello, Pastor Nino Gonzalez.
Hello.
Thank you for taking the time to sit with me. You are a host that, after the time of COVID, has had both a trip to the Holy Land and now done a group cruise in the Mediterranean. How has that gone for you so far?
Well, I think that the people were excited about traveling. I think, after a year and a half in the process, there was a lot of people that wanted to travel. As a matter of fact, they were planning to travel from even a year or two ago. So when EO started opening the opportunities for travel, we jumped in and we made the announcement, and people started contacting us and all of that. So it's been good. I mean, we've had a few people that we traveled to Israel in June, and we had 90, almost a little bit over 90. And now this cruise in October, and we have almost 50 people. I feel that it's been positive, especially in Israel. We were almost one of the first groups to come in, and it was very interesting that even in the streets, people were telling us, "Thank you for coming," and the vendors and just the regular people in the street were telling us, "Thank you for coming." So that made a big difference, starting to Israel opening and the group started going in. So it was good. It was good. It was a positive experience. I could tell the pastors that it's safe to come to organize the group, because either Israel, the Mediterranean is safe. The paperwork, now I think the pandemic has changed everything. So we're gonna have to get used to paper. But you can't let paper deter you from having a nice time or traveling. So once you get used to the paperwork, then it's like, okay, next. Well, first of all, it has made me be more knowledgeable about Scripture, because we read Scriptures devotional, but when you go to Israel, it's like having a Bible geography class on site. That's what I tell everybody. I don't know if that's working or not, but what I tell everybody is, listen, I know we evangelicals, we're people of the Bible, we're people of the Scriptures. But when you go to Israel, just being there, and Israel has something that it has kept the original names to all the sites. So when you read about a site, you definitely is a guarantee that that's where it happened. And I think that kind of gives you more knowledge on Scripture. And I think our people are people that want to learn about the Bible and they want to know. But when you go to Israel, you see what happened. You see that it happened here. So that adds to the spiritual experience of many people. Well, because I kind of tie it somehow with Paul. Paul spoke about Spain. Paul spoke about Rome, and so I always kind of connect. Yesterday when we were at one of the sites, I can see that there's a connection about things that happen, and if there's not a direct connection, but still the fact that the events of the church happened in the Roman Empire, so there's a lot of connections. The emperors, they're named, some of them in the Bible. So I always try to make that connection wherever we go in the Mediterranean. There's a connection with the Bible. I guarantee you that. Historically, politically, and biblically. So if it's not biblical, then I look at the historical part, which is important to interpret the Bible. So there's always a connection, and that's one of the things that I try to do with the groups.
So, and it sounds like your group is ready to go again.
They want to come back.
Now they're clearly something there.
It's good when the team is telling you, Pastor, now let's do this one. Now let's do this one. We've been here. Now why don't we do Paul in Turkey, and let's follow Paul's steps. So that's one of the things that are right now working in our mind.
In your mind.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me and answer some questions. And we are happy to travel with you and excited that the trip has been phenomenal.
And let me just say that it makes a big difference to travel with EO, definitely. So thank you, EO, for allowing us also this experience.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate Amy and Dr. Gonzalez sharing a little bit of their experiences there in the Mediterranean. Really proud of our Spanish-speaking ministry here. Amy, Yvette, Joiris, Mateo, they do a lot of work there. Across the entire Spanish-speaking world, we regularly have groups from Central America, we have groups from Colombia, so it's not just here in the United States. So Tom, I know we are we're heading back to you, and we were talking yesterday a little bit at a meeting. I think we've really, now we can say we've hit that inflection point where we're really back into traveling mode. We're not sort of in wait and see mode or that. And it's interesting, the groups that are traveling here upcoming suddenly went from, no, please don't ticket us, to why haven't you ticketed us? So we are rapidly moving through and getting back into a regular cycle here of getting documents out, getting tickets done. Everyone's working really, really hard, but it sort of was like a shotgun start to a race and to get everything going. So just a couple words on that, and I'll give it back to you, Tom. If we do request that everyone send us a passport and a copy of their vaccine cards, we just want to check and make sure that everything's up to date, that you have. We're not turning those into anyone, but just want to make sure that everyone has understood the rules, that are following through. We don't want to ticket people that maybe can't travel, and then we have some unpleasant experiences because of that. So if everyone has their documents in, I've seen emails this morning even, we give a green light to the air department, and they get to work on ticketing, and we get to work on finalizing. So I can't encourage you enough to have all your travelers get their passport copy, their vaccine cards in with the booster shot, and just so we can get to work. And we are moving further and further along in that. So I appreciate all the team and all their efforts to really pick it back up really quickly.
Yeah, James, it's great to hear that, we've gone so quickly, because it's sort of like standing there and at one of the water slides or something, on board the ship, and you're sitting there, okay, you're just standing there, all of a sudden and you're free falling, and there you go. And things, it's so exciting to see and see our groups pulling in. We really appreciate everybody who's worked so hard to make it possible. I mean, all the staff in Lakeland and around the world, EO staff, but also all of our tour hosts and directors of travel ministry who have continued to faithfully keep saying, yeah, we're going to go, we're going to go, we're going to go. So really appreciate that. It's exciting. James, thanks for that great report. So just to bring everybody up to speed, as James mentioned, we're just about out of time for Oberammergau. I sound like a repeat record, I guess, from before, but it's really exciting to see that, we're time to launch now. I mean, we're going to be going to Oberammergau in just about 90 days or so. So that's pretty exciting. Looking forward to that. Our fam trip for our familiarization trip to Holy Land is coming up. We're going to have a bunch of folks coming over on the 7th of March, and the registration deadline is on the 7th of this month. So this is your last week to register. If you're going to go with us on the familiarization trip, you have a pastor. You as a DTM have somebody you've been recruiting, get them signed up now. We've got our Jesus Walking Trail fam that's coming up in September. So you want to get that. If you've always dreamt of walking the Jesus Trail, here's your chance to do that. Take some folks, some tour hosts over, get excited about that. We're following that up with the Camino. James just came off the Camino walking trail. It's got a Portugal pre-option, so it should be a really exciting trip. James and Jimmy had a great time. Not my cup of tea, but I know you like it.
I think it would be very interesting.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. I can see you doing that.
I would do it.
Yeah, I know you'd love that one. Our Wesley and England fam trip that's going to happen in October. October the 26th is the date for that. You can start registration by end of business today. So the registration will be online for that. You see that there on your screen. So it's been a while since we've offered a Wesley fam. So we're really excited about this one. Have a lot of people interested. So reserve your spot early on that one. Our Greece fam is coming up the 2nd of November. So we've already got people starting to register for that. And then also our Turkey fam, which will be immediately following it on the 8th of November. So go ahead and get signed up for those. You're going to love both of those trips. And theoretically, I guess you could almost do them back to back if you wanted to do that. So, but check with us on those. We'd love to see you get there. But we do have people already registered on both those trips. So get your spot reserved now. Our celebration cruise for next year, it will be here before you know it, Ann. 14th annual celebration cruise. Now, just to let you know, folks, it's a little bit shorter cruise than normal. A couple of reasons for that. What we found is that some of our DTMs who are actively pastoring struggle to be away. I mean, this is a pretty long trip we're on right now. So it's hard for some folks. Some of our younger DTMs, directors of travel ministry, don't have the same expendable income that some of those of us who are a bit more advanced in our earning have. And so we decided to go much shorter and much less expensive. So you can see it on the screen there, our 14th annual celebration cruise, 5 nights aboard the Adventure of the Seas, February 6th to the 11th. It's a very short trip. It's going to go out of Galveston, which is really a new port for us. I'm using for this. So we're really excited about that. I want to emphasize, those of you who are DTMs listening out there, we haven't been together for a couple of 3 years now. I want us all together. So I want all of our DTMs who are not traveling during that time, who are not on the Holy Land or one of our other active tours, I hope that you can be on that trip with us. I want you on the tour.
I've already signed up.
I know Ann's, I think you were probably the first one to register. Yeah, Ann. In fact, I think you registered twice, unintentionally, but that's okay. I'm just going to charge you for one.
Okay,
So,
good.
But we do hope that you'll be able to be with. I think it's of great importance for us together, even with the smaller number we have here this time. Great fellowship opportunities, getting to know each other, and I want all of our DTMs. That's been an important part for us to know each other and feel that relational aspect of who we are as educational opportunities. So look now, you can register online, sign up. We're going to begin our Jubilee year next year. We'll be talking about that on our webinar on March 3rd. Our next webinar will be the 15th of February. We're going to be doing our Holy Land 23 release on all of our pricing and dates and stuff for that. Big event coming up there. So put that in your calendar now, 11 o'clock, 15th of February. Look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, James. Thanks, Jamie, Ashley, Mark Ye, Alyssa, Ryan, Shelby, John, everybody back in the studio, and all of you who joined us today. We really appreciate it. Talk to you soon. God bless.